Why did Jin reveal the truth in Italy? Jungkook in tears. HYBE remains silent. What is being hidden from the world? The silence was deafening, but the tears were louder. In a moment that stunned the global entertainment industry, Seokjin, known to millions simply as Jin, stood before an international audience in Italy and disclosed a truth that had been buried for years. The revelation was not scripted, not rehearsed, and certainly not expected. Within minutes, Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, broke down in tears. The footage circulated rapidly, igniting a storm of speculation, grief, and confusion among fans worldwide. Yet, amid the chaos, one question loomed larger than the rest. Why has HYBE remained silent? The setting was elegant, the atmosphere dignified, but the content of Jin's words shattered the serenity of the venue. Italy, a country known for its art and history, became the unlikely stage for one of the most emotionally charged disclosures in K-pop history. Jin's voice did not tremble, but his eyes betrayed the weight of what he was about to say. The audience, composed of international media, cultural figures, and select fans, was unprepared for the magnitude of the confession. It was not a promotional statement, nor a casual anecdote. It was a deliberate, calculated release of a long-held truth. Jungkook's reaction was immediate and visceral. He did not speak. He did not attempt to compose himself. He cried. Not the kind of tears that accompany a sentimental performance, but the kind that erupt when something sacred has been exposed. The cameras captured every second, and within hours, the footage had reached every corner of the digital world. Armies, the fiercely loyal fanbase of BTS, were left in shock. What could possibly have been so significant, so emotionally devastating, that it reduced Jungkook to tears in front of the world? The nature of Jin's revelation remains partially obscured, but fragments have begun to surface. Sources close to the event suggest that the truth involved internal decisions made years ago, decisions that affected the trajectory of BTS as a group and as individuals. The fact that Jin chose Italy as the location for this disclosure is not coincidental. Italy, with its reputation for cultural diplomacy and neutrality, provided a platform that was both symbolic and strategic. It allowed Jin to speak without the immediate interference of domestic media or corporate oversight. HYBE's silence is perhaps the most perplexing element of this unfolding drama. As the parent company of BTS, HYBE has historically maintained tight control over public narratives. Yet in this case, they have offered no statement, no clarification, and no acknowledgement. The absence of a response has only fueled speculation. Is HYBE attempting to contain a larger issue? Are they preparing a comprehensive statement that will reframe the situation? Or is their silence indicative of internal conflict and disarray? The emotional impact on Jungkook cannot be overstated. His tears were not performative. They were raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. Observers noted that his demeanor changed drastically following Jin's announcement. He withdrew from interactions, avoided eye contact, and appeared visibly shaken. This reaction has led many to believe that the truth revealed by Jin was not only significant, but also deeply intertwined with Jungkook's personal experiences within the group. Armies around the world have responded with a mixture of empathy, outrage, and confusion. Social media platforms have been inundated with messages of support for Jungkook, demands for transparency from HYBE, and theories about the nature of Jin's revelation. Some fans believe that the truth involves contractual disputes, while others suspect deeper emotional or psychological factors. The lack of concrete information has created a vacuum that is rapidly being filled with speculation. What is undeniable is that Jin's decision to speak was not impulsive. It was calculated, deliberate, and timed. The choice of venue, the presence of international media, and the absence of other BTS members suggest that this was a solo act of defiance or liberation. Jin, often seen as the group's stabilizing force, chose to disrupt the equilibrium. And in doing so, he exposed a fracture that had long been concealed. The implications of this event extend beyond BTS. It raises questions about the structure of K-pop agencies, the emotional toll on artists, and the mechanisms of control within the entertainment industry. Jin's revelation, Jungkook's tears, and HYBE's silence form a triad of tension that cannot be ignored. Each element points to a deeper narrative, one that has yet to be fully uncovered. Why did Jin wait until now? Why choose Italy? Why speak alone? These questions remain unanswered, but they are not without context. Jin's military service, his temporary absence from group activities, and his recent public appearances suggest a man who has been reflecting deeply. His return to the public eye was marked not by celebration, but by confrontation. He did not seek applause. He sought truth. Jungkook's emotional collapse is perhaps the most human element of this story. It reminds us that behind the polished performances and curated images are individuals grappling with real emotions, real decisions, and real consequences. His tears were not just a reaction, they were a statement, a silent, powerful statement that something has gone terribly wrong. HYBE's continued silence is not sustainable. The pressure from fans, media, and industry observers is mounting. Every hour without a response deepens the suspicion and intensifies the scrutiny. The company's reputation, already under strain from previous controversies, is now facing a critical test. Will they address the issue head-on, or will they attempt to deflect and delay? The connection between Jin's revelation, Jungkook's reaction, and HYBE's silence is not coincidental. It is a sequence, a chain of events that points to a larger truth. The emotional weight of the moment, the strategic choice of location, and the absence of institutional response all suggest that this is not a minor incident. It is a rupture, a moment of reckoning. As the world watches, the stakes continue to rise. Fans are not merely spectators. They are participants in a global conversation about transparency, accountability, and emotional integrity. The demand for answers is not a trend. It is a necessity. Jin has spoken. Jungkook has cried. HYBE has remained silent. The question now is, what comes next? The truth, whatever it may be, has already begun to reshape the narrative. It has exposed vulnerabilities, challenged assumptions, and ignited a firestorm of inquiry. The silence from HYBE is not a shield, it is a spotlight. And under that spotlight, every action, every word, and every omission will be scrutinized. In the end, this is not just a story about a revelation in Italy. It is a story about courage, emotion, and the cost of silence. Jin's decision to speak was not just a personal act, it was a public declaration. Jungkook's tears were not just emotional, they were symbolic. And HYBE's silence is not just strategic, it is consequential.